Just a reminder, if you haven't registered your chapter yet, please be sure to register your chapter. To register, all you need to do is submit at least one student. To do so, then you'll get access to all of our complete resources. One of our most recent resources is our Back to School Survival Guide. So that's kind of what this is themed off of. So we created a survival guide with a lot of different ways on how, or pretty much the nuts and bolts of operating a chapter in the virtual world. So there's monthly meeting agendas, monthly activities, as well as things like how to get sponsorships, how to register, recruitment and whatnot. And we're just doing a little bit more of an in-depth presentation today on recruitment. So be sure to register your chapter so you can see that resource underneath the state resources tab. And if you're having any issue finding that, feel free to just message me and I can send it to you directly. Here's the email where you can contact me. But we spent the latter half of the summer creating this guide for you all, and we're excited to get started. So I think we'll go ahead and begin. So, and if people just join in, they can catch up. But welcome everyone, we're happy to have you. Thanks again for attending this Back to SADD Survival Guide. Oh, we got one more participant. Awesome. So like I said, welcome back to SADD. Hi, Amy, welcome to our little workshop series. If you feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, if you'd like to tell us who you are, where you're from. We're joined with folks from California and Arizona. To respect your time, and I know you've probably been in school all day, I want to make sure that you have your own space afterwards to kind of decompress. So hello, Mrs. Amy Cruz. Feel free to, if you want to let us know who you are, where you're from, let us know in the chat, or you can unmute if you feel so comfortable. And
hi, I'll just unmute and do it this way. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm our SADD advisor with Alpha Charter High School. We're a small charter in Alberta, California, just outside of Sacramento.
Alpha Charter. Well, it's really great to get in contact with you. We're happy that you're able to attend. Last weekend we had a registration Back to SADD Survival Guide series. Today we're doing recruitment. So if you haven't re-registered your chapter to get the full access of the resources that we have to offer, including information about the survival guide, please do so. All you need to do is resubmit at least one student in your portal, and I'd be happy to walk you through that if you need help. Otherwise, we're gonna get started. I think that's kind of as much as we'll get for now. So. All right, so check-in question. We kind of had some folks already share a little bit, but just to reiterate, we want to know what are some challenges that you're having to recruitment? What are some challenges that your chapter's having? If you feel free to unmute yourself and speak on top of that, or you could just let us know in the chat if you'd like to. So something that folks were saying earlier before we started, they were saying that they're having trouble just getting started, not knowing where to start with virtual meetings. I see Ms. Cheryl Tyler saying having trouble getting kids to meetings. And if you feel like you're having that same sort of challenge, feel free to throw a reaction if you'd like to. Sometimes the times don't work for everybody, so that's real too, is finding a really good time. And so I think it's really good that we're talking about the different challenges, because at any point in time, maybe your chapter has something good that works for everyone, or maybe you have a solution to a particular challenge that people have. Like for example, sometimes the times don't work. One question that is, well, how are you getting to know what time is best for students? Have you sent a doodle poll or something where they can list, oh, these are the times I'm available? So obviously, sometimes not everyone can attend every single time, but hopefully there are some ways to work around that. All right. Is there any other challenges with regards to recruitment? Like having trouble getting kids to meetings? Do you have a core group of students that you have, Cheryl, that you're able to get to meetings? I see you have one of your chapter leaders, Letitia, here. Hello, Shahana, welcome. We're just doing a little check-in question. So if you have, and Sohaib's here too. If two of you have any, want to answer the check-in question, feel free to type it in the chat. What are the challenges that your chapter is having with regards to recruitment? We have some folks who've mentioned that they're having trouble getting kids to meetings and then having trouble finding a time that works with everyone.
Kevin, I don't know. I think I didn't register for this event, but I got that from AlCal, the evaluation form that you sent out.
Oh, cool.
There was a link on it, so.
Yeah, so thanks for, I'm glad that you caught that, and I'm glad that I was able to send it out before. So yeah, this is we're just going over ways to do recruitment, really specific ways. We touched upon it very briefly yesterday, but we're going a little bit more in depth now. All right, and so we'll move forward. If there's any other challenges people have with recruitment, again, feel free to put it in the chat. But so the next slide. So it's going to be somewhat interactive, not too heavy, so as I know we're all kind of, we all have different capacity at this point in time. So one more response with regards to challenges: having trouble staying everyone to motivated to interact and connect with SADD content and do SADD content. Okay, that's very true. Getting motivation. Motivation is a very big part of like what we're going to be talking about today. So a question I have, and again, you can feel free to put in the chat, but who's supposed to be the one that's driving the recruitment efforts? Yeah, so open-ended. Okay, I see students, right? Maybe wait for one more response. All right. But they need guidance from us. Yes, no, that's perfectly it. The students should be the ones that are the main drivers of the recruitment efforts, but yes, they do need guidance from advisors. And at this point, because we're in such a new environment where everything's virtual, sometimes that guidance for advisors is sometimes we don't know what to do or where do we guide them? We've never done recruitment virtually before. So while the students are the ones that do have to drive the recruitment, we do need to have that information of, well, how do we drive recruitment? And sometimes it's about giving the students permission to, execute the ideas that they have. We have Sohaib saying, yeah, student leaders should be the ones to try to recruit. And that's true, because students are the ones that are closest to the issue. This is a very student-led program is what SADD is, right? So next question is, what do you think drives students to be a part of SADD? So when students end up joining SADD in the beginning of the year, what are the things that end up drawing them to be a part of the club? As advisors and as students, kind of think about your time, your journey through SADD. Like what do you think will end up having students participate? What are those key components that SADD has or that your program has that draws students in? So I see Letitia saying they want to help people and making their community a better place. Yeah, that's very true. The volunteer opportunities and the opportunities to contribute is definitely a big draw in. Students want to be able to feel like they're making the world a better place, for sure. One of the only students, so Lauren's saying one of the only students that actually lets students lead. Yeah, that's very true. So I actually, over the weekend, I met up with one of my SADD alumni. She was a SADD student 2 years above me when I was in SADD. And she was saying like, oh my gosh, I love SADD because they just let us do what we want. We were able to move forward with our ideas, and it's a very empowering space. Sohaib says, students like the fact that SADD's message relates to them, and the issues SADD combats are to help them and their peers. Example, seniors and juniors needing to learn how to drive. Exactly, so SADD is relevant, and SADD continues to be relevant even in these, like, if even not more so during these times where student connection is so limited. So the message, the involvement, and the contribution to community. I love these answers. And then especially giving opportunities for students to lead. A lot of students are going into college and are looking for extracurriculars, and especially in this quarantine environment, there isn't that many opportunities for folks to get involved. And then how powerful is it to say that even during a quarantine and even during distance learning, you were able to, help lead your students. I think it's very powerful for students to be able to, take that into their journeys post-college. So thank you. These are really great responses. So kind of like we said, what drives students to be a part of SADD? It's community, support, involvement, and empowerment. So these are the two kind of components to think about when it comes to recruitment: is who drives the recruitment, and that's you and the chapters, but mostly the chapter members. And then what are we trying to, I guess, so to speak, from like a sales perspective, is what are we trying to sell to the students? And that's like community, support, involvement, and empowerment. So how do we take those now and apply them to like a digital environment? So this digital environment is kind of something that the SADD state coordinators have been working on the past several months, since I think March when distance learning started. We've been kind of tinkering, what are the best ways to get students involved? How do they end up participating with us? Like for example, I started working at SADD in December, and it's kind of been the somewhat of recruitment process for me, trying to get to know students, trying to get to know advisors, trying to get them invested into communicating with me, and getting them passionate about our message again. So we're going to go over really quickly some of these 5 different ways to transform passion into recruitment and try to communicate who your chapter is to your audience. And again, I'll be sharing this presentation out for you all who have registered, so you have access to this. All right, next. So one of the things, oops, that's a slide that I didn't delete. One of the things that you can do is do a social media launch. So as much as social media can be a very positive and negative thing and challenging thing, in this sort of day and age, being on the digital landscape is super important to reaching out to teens. So doing a social media launch could be a great way to just launch your own social media platform. And again, with the guidance from the advisor, letting the students be the ones to drive what this looks like is best. Like, even though I guess I'm on like the younger millennial stage, I still trust whatever the students think is best with regards to social media, whether that's, participating on Snapchat, being on TikTok, being on Instagram. But having some sort of social media presence is important, and creating a launch to guide your social media is a really great way to start. So if you want an example, if you go to the SADD Tennessee Instagram, and that's SADD-TN, they recently just did a social media launch where they, 5 days before their launch, they would just start posting graphics made through Canva. And these are resources that we can definitely walk you through, or again, giving your students the opportunity to create these graphics. And within 1 to 2 weeks, you can post leading up to a social media launch. So we got a question. Does anyone have any suggestions on how to delete old Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts? We've had multiple accounts and want to make it cleaner and more streamlined. So I hear you, because California, we also have old Instagram accounts, or at least we also have old Twitter accounts. And I've actually followed, I think, 3 of Helix's old Instagram accounts. And, unfortunately, unless you report it to Instagram or you find who's the original creator, that's like the only way you can get it. You can get it deleted. Is the original creator has to do it, or you have to ask Instagram to say that they're impersonating you. I mean, that's kind of harder because you're kind of trying to create it through a brand. But it definitely understand the concern. I think if you can't get a hold of the person, then I think that's the whole point of doing the launch, is that like, hey, we want to redirect all of you from those channels to here. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. I'm happy to talk to you more about finding ways to do that, or at least trying to find a way to make your account stand out. But some tasks that you can, collaborate with your students to create this is, you use Canva to create a countdown, or any sort of graphic design software to do a countdown. Post it on your feed and your story. So on your Instagram story, you want to make sure you want to tag, just like Lauren said, you want to tag in all of your posts to do some redirection, and make sure your account includes the word official. So maybe include that in your in your bio, just put official account, and make sure the email is connected to the advisor. At the same time, I think it's important, sometimes it's hard for the advisor to be on top of all of the postings. So giving, you know, trusted students access to that, so that the students can manage it more themselves. There's totally ways to make sure that the students have more of an active management of it. But as you post it on your feed and on your story, tag other students, other chapter members, and ask them to share it. That way, every day leading up to the launch, people see and people start to follow. And then at the end, you can culminate in like a live event or a SADD meeting. If you look at Tennessee SADD, they did like a live launch. So at the last day of their launch, the state coordinator Gavin went on Instagram Live, just talked about SADD. So you can have like maybe multiple students get on Instagram Live and talk to one another, maybe talk about what SADD is. So social media launch is a pretty easy way to get followers, and really just all about telling your story as a chapter. Any questions before we move on to the next one? Thank you for all the questions and comments in the chat. Like it really shows me that everyone's involved and speaking. And it helps me as well get to know what the issues y'all are going through. All right, next one. Another thing you can do, this is kind of like a launch, but it's a little bit more involved, is that you can kind of do a member drive. So this is actually something that California SADD is going to try to do towards the end of this month and beginning of October. So you see like a little sample of what our membership drive is going to look like. So our campaign, we're calling it the Faces of Safety. You can call it whatever you want, but what the goal of the event is to feature chapter members, partners, and other staff to get more members. So this is Felicity Reddy. She's one of our participants from Chaparral High School. So you can see we have a really nice picture of her, made a little banner at the bottom, and it says a little quote where it says, "Influence change one decision at a time." And that's her quote that I asked a question for her and she answered that question, and that was the quote she gave. And we're gonna have like a number of folks every week. We're gonna try to post a day or every couple days, feature one of the Faces of Safety, talk to our partners, talk to our SADD members. Again, post it on our feed and tag them in our story. That way they can share it onto their social media profile too. I think that's a really important thing, is that oftentimes I see new SADD accounts will just post, but they're not tagging people, or not tagging them in their post or tagging them in their story. Because when you do that, it gives them a notification, and then they can share it onto their Instagram as well. Again, it's really great to have the students be the ones to drive it. The timeline is around 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how involved you want to be. All the tasks that you need to do is just identify teachers and students, ask them to submit a picture and a quote, post it on your feed, on your story. Extra points if you can make a banner or whatever sort of branding that you want to create. I kind of made this simple banner right here, but you don't have to make one. It kind of helps create a brand around who you are as a chapter. And again, you can choose a different theme if you don't like Faces of Safety. If you want to do something specific to your school, like Cougars for Safety, or you don't have to include safety too. It really just depends on what would really motivate your students. Yep. So we're going to move to the next idea for recruitment. So another one is a club collab. So I've noticed that not all students have done a club rush. So can you let us know in your chat if your school has done a club rush, or maybe they didn't? I'm just kind of curious. I've only seen a handful of ASBs from different schools actually hold a virtual club rush. So they're coming up next week. All right, that's awesome. Okay, from our North High School friends, thank you. So if your school doesn't have a club rush, because some haven't, some schools aren't even encouraging their students to participate in extracurriculars. You can be the vessel to kind of do a club rush or a club collaboration. If you don't want to do a club rush, maybe you want to just collaborate with a couple different clubs. Maybe there's like a Red Cross club, or there's just whatever clubs that others folks are involved with, and you can do like a club collaboration where maybe it's just a fun social event, and then every club gets to share what they do. Because I think at this point, a lot of different clubs are also in the same boat. I think sometimes we don't recognize that we're all drowning in the same boat. where we can like collaborate together as student and student orgs. So you can do a fun collaboration, just reach out to them and try to publicize on social media, and again, tag your partners. This doesn't have to be a club rush, but it can be just mini collaborations. And through those collaborations, students from those other clubs might be interested in joining. And at the same time, you can widen your audience for people who want to join in on the event. All right, we're going to move into the next couple ones. So we're almost on our last couple recruitment ideas. So this one, classroom announcements. So as archaic as this might seem, at least sometimes people think this is a little old school, but you know, old school rules applied in a new environment can sometimes do wonders. So the great thing about classroom announcements is that you can do it immediately. Like there's not really a huge timeline for it. All you need to do is to maybe have an event, have an ask. Maybe the ask is follow our social media. Even better if you let them know we have an event going on, or here's our next meeting. And you ask the you ask students within your club, hey, can you make this announcement to your classes? If they can do it within their own particular classes, I think that's the most easiest. Just have people come up with a really easy 30-second pitch. Like the great thing about being on Zoom is that you can put your notes right in front of you and it doesn't look like you're looking at your notes. So all they need to do is read off at the script and ask their teacher for permission to make announcements. It'd be even more points if you can identify freshman classes to speak to. Maybe you have a free period and you want to talk to your freshman class. Then go ahead and ask that teacher, hey, can I pop into your Zoom, make this announcement? Hopefully teachers are receptive. I think they would be receptive to these sort of things, especially if the announcement is like just 30 seconds. Approach freshman class advisors. Yes, that's a really great suggestion over there. But an easy classroom presentation is something that can be done immediately. Yep. All right, we're gonna move. I think this might be our last recruitment idea. Okay, yep. So one thing you can do as well is do a social challenge. Can you create a viral trend? This is one that we did recently. It has gotten quite some good publicity as of late, is the Work Zone Social Challenge. So social challenges have been really popular among students, especially recently. You know, doing a little dance on your TikTok or doing some sort of social challenge that invites students to participate. Some of the ones that you could participate and you don't have to make up your own is do the Work Zone Challenge that we have partnered with Caltrans. You can do the Text Less, Live More Screen Time Challenge. So at the beginning of the month, challenge students to post their screen time, tag other members, and see who can decrease their screen time the most at the end of the month. The most important thing is to tag and share. And so that does kind of require on your effort the, kind of the scary ask to ask other people to, hey, can you do this? That's kind of like the hardest part, I think. But there's a lot of other social challenges you can try to do. Again, I think the students are the best to come up with the ideas for what kind of challenge will be the most engaging. Putting it on TikTok, putting it on Instagram Reels. Those are the ways that it kind of gets a little bit more publicized. But finding ways to engage folks socially and have fun with it is pretty important. All right. So before we get into this question, I do want to mention a couple things that can really drive your recruitment efforts. Number one is having like some sort of giveaway or incentive to get students to participate. So over the summer, we've been giving away Amazon gift cards. We've been giving away even AirPods or Hydro Flasks. Even if you have old SADD shirts, even just anything to incentivize students to participate has been a really good way to get more recruitment and involvement. If you're having, in this moment, if you're having trouble fundraising or need to know how to recruit, we do have a recruitment how-to in our virtual back to school survival guide. Feel free to reach out to me for the information for that. But getting a local sponsorship of just maybe even like $200, which a lot of businesses are really happy to give out, especially for a cause like SADD, can go a long way to making sure that you have some money to invest in recruitment. So while all these recruitment efforts are great, adding that extra, hey, and we're giving away like we're giving away XYZ if you participate, or if you go into our meeting, or if you follow us. Those are really great incentives just to build your membership. Or maybe you can even create it into a point system. Maybe you have like a lot of, you have a really great giveaway, and you're like, okay, if you attend the 4 meetings, then that's 4 entries for you to win this prize, or win this, whatever works for your students. But want to open up the floor. So the question, let's hear from you what recruitment efforts work for you, or if you just want to reflect on any of the topics that we talked about. We'd love to hear like something that's been working for your chapter. Maybe it would work for other chapters that are here. We have like 3 or 4 chapters represented. So is there anything that's been working particularly for you that you want to share, or maybe you have a question that other folks would be able to answer? And feel free to chat in or unmute if you feel so brave.
The biggest thing I'm from North Torrance High School, is Club Rush. That's the best way that we throughout the years have been getting people to come join our SADD chapter, and on campus all the clubs do it. So I think it's one of the better methods of just getting kids to get involved. And this year it's going to be virtual, so there's going to be like Q&A sessions, and then there's going to be like Google Slides, and some clubs are doing like a short little video and like telling them like why you should join, who we are, and so just something that I wanted to say.
Thank you, Sohaib. I definitely want to reiterate the Club Rush, and if your school isn't doing one, then you can have your own mini one with the select few clubs. And I think making sure whatever your message is short, sweet, to the point, and also like really engaging. Again, we want to sell again what SADD's about: that involvement, community, ability to lead. Those are the things that, and also connection. Those are the things that I think really resonate with students when it comes to being involved with SADD. So, yeah. Are there any like maybe advisors who maybe you only have 1 or 2 students that are working with you? Is there any like questions that you might have, or something that you are also looking for that maybe wasn't covered today?
Hey, Kevin, I'll help you out here. So one thing that we're trying to do in New York is push some of our students and our advisors to ask nicely other groups if they're operating this year. And if they're not, if their students would like to become a SADD member for even just this year, to try to get some continued recruitment going for SADD, and then to also help out other groups like NHS. Honor Society will require volunteer hours. Many groups like that Key Club, Lions Club, whatever you have in your areas, also require volunteer hours. So asking from other groups, while it may seem a little bit sneaky, could also be fruitful if they're not going to be operating this year. Same for things like smaller clubs, possibly art club or ski club or whatever you may have. They certainly may not be operating this year. So asking those other group leaders if they would like to combine for the year, or their kids would like to join up, would, I think, be a great recruitment strategy. And having those one-to-one conversations with those students that are in those clubs would really be fostering that relationship more than just putting out a general notice.
Thank you, Lauren. Lauren is our state coordinator from New York. So I think that's really awesome, the collaboration. Again, whether that's Club Rush or inviting them to be a part of your chapter. A lot of other students and advisors for other clubs are also feeling this like, whoa, what do we do? And so now is the best time to do that connection and collaboration. And when things hopefully, start to settle down in the future, you end up creating some great partnerships with other organizations and other clubs on campus. So it can be really good for groundwork. And I think really starting with whatever you can, like if it's just 1 or 2 students that are really wanting to be involved and wanting to do things, well, that's an amazing 1 or 2 students that can really help build the chapter. And sometimes we have to let go of what we thought SADD looked like in the past, and you understand that, hey, it's going to be a little different, and that's totally okay. Are there any other recruitment efforts that have been working? Thanks for the note, Cheryl, for letting us know that there were really good ideas. I'm glad that you have hopefully had some takeaways. We're always here to help support as state coordinators your efforts. And so I'm going to move into, I think this is my last slide. Yeah, so last slide. If you haven't gotten the Back to SADD Survival Guide, be sure to let your state coordinator know. Please let us evaluate, or please evaluate this workshop. We want to make sure that it was useful for you. I will go ahead and put the link for the evaluation here. This will help us make sure that we deliver the best information for you. So we just did recruitment this week. Next week, we're gonna have, actually Lauren's gonna go a little bit more into depth into social media and how you can really build your chaptership after you've done recruitment. Lauren has been a fantastic social media superstar over the past summer, and I've been learning a lot from her on how to manage our own social media chapter as well. That next weekend we're doing chapter development, so the nuts and bolts of chapter development, which includes like how do you organize your chapter, how do you put on successful Zoom meetings that are engaging, that get people to come back. How do you get money for sponsorships and whatnot. And then lastly, in October, we're going to have best practices with the SLC. So our National Student Leadership Council will be teaching us what are the things that they do. So we love talking as state coordinators, but as a student-led, student-initiated program, we want to give voice to our national SLC to talk about what they've been doing in their chapters. So thank you for all participating. If you're this is just for California, but if you're in California, I see y'all here. Apply to be a part of our SLC, the California SLC. Applications are due on the 20th, so that's this Sunday. You can definitely do it. There's like 5 questions, and letters of recommendation are optional. It'd be really cool to have you all onto this SLC. It's been a wonder working with you all so far. But that's our presentation. Are there any questions that anyone has? If not,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sahib.
The link that you dropped into the chat, that takes me to a Google form. Do you want us to do that right now, like right after we finish?
I mean, if you want to do it right now, that's a general evaluation for anything related to our Back to SADD Survival Guide, which is kind of where this series is started from. So feel free to just fill it out the best you can. All of that information is useful for us to help us understand how to continue to move forward. So please, 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 evaluations are great. That's the best way to help us move forward. And actually for your recruitment and your chapter efforts, always ask for student evaluation. Like I know sometimes as teachers and as educators, it's scary to get evaluation. I know like I was pretty scared to read my evaluations from yesterday, the event that I had, but it's the best way to continue to listen to student feedback and whatnot. So yeah, any other questions? All right, well, that was a really great, short and sweet presentation for you all. I hope that you enjoyed being a part of it. Again, my name's Kevin. I'm from the state of California. Happy to answer questions, even if you're not from California. Just happy that you all are here and listening. So thank you. Join us again next week. We're going to talk about social media do's and don'ts.